big chunk of consumers don't trust retail brands that only have an online presence. I am the head of retail research for the US at Colliers. So when you think of research, you probably think of like scientists and discovering the cure for cancer, but our research is within the commercial real estate. The type of research that we're doing is helping to find these retailers space within shopping centers or within malls. We're trying to help them understand who their target consumer is. We're trying to help them understand just really all the different economic indicators that are going on throughout the world and help them make the best decisions on where they should place their stores. I think some of the most fascinating research that I've seen recently is how important it is for retailers to have a physical store presence. I think especially with the pandemic, we thought, oh, the stores are gonna go away, online is king, everything should move to online. And I think us as consumers really debunk that theory in that we're still going into the stores, but we're also still shopping online. So I think it's really important for retailers to find that perfect balance of in-store and online. I don't think you can put all your eggs in one basket and only have physical stores and no online, or only online and no physical stores. You really have to find a perfect balance. And that's a lot on retailers if they've never sort of dove into that strategy before. It's also really important that you blend the two, which is what we call omni-channel. And you really have to optimize the services that you have. So even having some sort of app where you can track customer loyalty and you can give your shoppers points for even shopping at your store. We actually heard a stat that said a big chunk of consumers don't trust retail brands that only have an online presence. And I think that's because, a lot of fraud and scheming is happening online. I mean, it's just so easy to open an online store now, especially with social commerce like TikTok shop and Instagram shop. So I think consumers are becoming smarter as well and understanding, I see that this brand only has an online presence. Maybe I should do a little bit more research into them, do a Google search on them, make sure other people haven't had any issues with them and that they've received their goods. But I think once they click on that website and see, oh, they actually have a store close by me, or oh, they have a store that I'm going to a city that I'm gonna visit soon, I should check them out while I'm there. So I think it's important to have a good mix of the two. Some challenges that retailers are facing now when looking for physical space, there's really a lack of supply, which is a good thing, but can also be sort of a tricky thing. The reason why I said that it is was a good thing was that previously the US was essentially over-retailed, so we had way too much retail space per person in the United States compared to our neighboring countries of Europe or in Asia. So essentially developers cut back on constructing new retail space. So now there is a little bit of a lack of supply, but that also kind of helped the retail industry rebalance itself. So what happens now is retailers really need to be very swift but also smart with their store expansion strategies. They have to work with commercial real estate brokerage companies like ours to essentially help them find the best space, maybe even find the space that's not even online, maybe some insider info that we might have that maybe a tenant is moving out, and we can start to look to see if they can take on that space before it comes available online, really help them make decisions, also help them identify maybe new and emerging cities. It's what we like to call secondary cities, so not your typical New York, LA, Miami, maybe something like an Austin or a Fort Lauderdale or a Brooklyn or something like that. So a lot of times it's good to work with experts in the field to help you make these better decisions. So when we start working with a new client, the discovery process is really different based upon the client's needs. Sometimes the clients already know exactly what cities they want to expand into. Sometimes they have no idea and they rely on us to essentially pick out the cities that align best with their consumer data and with their brand data. Sometimes these retailers already know the exact mall or shopping center that they want to go in. So at that point, it's maybe helping them discover who their consumer is, or even From there, if they know exactly, let's say, like what shopping center they want to be in, then from there, it's discovering, okay, where would be the best place for you to be in this shopping center, essentially for you to make the most profit. So, that's important too. It's not just, okay, I found you a space in the mall. All right, let's sign the deal, sign the contract, and get into the mall. There's so much more to it. I mean, if we're talking about a mall, for example, maybe it's busier on the first floor than the second floor, or maybe there's a garage entrance that leads to the second floor, so the first floor is actually dead. Or, maybe there's one corner of the mall that has really busy activations, like amenities, like I said, so maybe there's more families there, or maybe one side of the mall has more food than the other. So it really depends on what type of brand you are and what type of consumers you're attracting. If you're a brand that is maybe more family oriented, you're probably going to want to be on the side of the mall that has the amenities where like parents are hanging out with their kids. If you're like a luxury brand, you're probably going to want to be with the rest of the luxury retailers on that side of the mall. They're usually on their own side of the mall, away from like the kiddie playground. So it really just depends, but there's so much that goes into decision making for these retailers to help them find the best space. To stay informed in the retail trends that are going on throughout the country, I mean, really, you just have to be a consumer yourself. You have to go out into the stores, you have to browse the internet, and especially social media helps with to show all the trends, especially with TikTok now. I mean, everyone is in there talking about their favorite products from Amazon and, what are the new and upcoming brands and their favorite bags and shoes from this one and this one. So it's really easy, I would say, nowadays to keep up with what's going on. We have so much information at our fingertips, but I think really getting out there as well, exploring the cities, also talking to the sales associate and just asking them like, hey, how's business? Is it really busy? Has it been kind of slow? What are some of the products that are selling out more often than others? Just having a simple conversation is really one of the best ways to find out what's going on in a brand. So some of the different brands that we're starting to see expand throughout the United States, there's a huge influx of Asian retailers. So you'll see a lot of like Asian variety stores that maybe sell like the Korean beauty or skin products. I just heard about this new like arcade type of retailer. It's actually like those like laser escape room games. So you have to go through all these different obstacle courses. It's kind of like game room or escape room meets laser tags. It's definitely a fun job doing retail research, especially as a consumer myself. I see things from a different lens, even when I'm just going grocery shopping for, my weekly food. I see things from the other side of the retailer and I'm like, oh, maybe this fixture would be better up here in front of the store. Like I'm always thinking from the side of how can we help the retailers, even if they're not our client and I'm just there to do like my regular shopping. So it definitely has changed my outlook on shopping and retail stores, but it keeps the mind going and it's a very creative position and a lot of fun. I am the perfect omni-channel shopper, I would say. I really enjoy finding new brands online, but my favorite piece of retail is actually going into the store, speaking to the sales associate, looking at the fixtures, because I think the store really gives you a better idea of who the brand is. Of course, you can design your website to be the colors and the fonts and the type of vibe that you have, but when you're standing in a physical store and you hear the music that they're playing, or even the smells that they're releasing within the store, it gives you that full 5 sense experience that, okay, this is who they are as a brand, this is who they embody. Me as a consumer, I relate so much with the smell and the sound and the touch and the feel, so I can resonate better with this brand. But I do think, especially as a millennial, I'm always online, so it is easy to discover brands online as opposed to in store, but I think you get the full experience when you go in store.